Beneath the icy surface of Mount Everest lies a world of disturbing secrets uncovered through the lens of drones. As these unmanned aircraft soar over the frozen landscape, they reveal chilling discoveries frozen in time, from Rainbow Valley to silent avalanches. Welcome to a brand new video. Today we will reveal a horrifying look at the 08 most disturbing discoveries made on Mount Everest. If you like this kind of content, subscribe to our channel. It's free. Now, let's get started. Number 9. Abandoned expedition equipment. At a staggering 28,000 feet on the icy slopes of Mount Everest lie hidden relics of long-lost expeditions, with whispers of the past emerging among these frozen artifacts. Climbers have stumbled upon a peculiar and mysterious piece of equipment that tells a story of human determination, exploration, and survival halfway up the infamous first step, a spot on Everest's northeast ridge that has frustrated many a climber. Here lies a forgotten camp that has likely lain untouched for decades. One explorer, drawn to the glow of an old bottle, believed it to be from 1924. A clue linking legendary climbers George Mallory and Andrew Irvine. Although the bottle turned out to be from a later expedition, the site was littered with other haunting clues. A battery-powered oxygen apparatus and worn carabiners with a Chinese driving point for the 1960 Chinese expedition, the first to claim to have summited Everest from the north. Nearby lies a rusty shovel marked Marvy, 1979, worn down. Beside it, scattered cylinders, probably from a French team from the 1980s, tell a story of multinational attempts to conquer the summit, many of which ended in tragedy. Perhaps most astonishingly, the giant oxygen bottle, much larger than others, found from the same era, stands out as a relic of technology, still containing gas ready to support an expedition long gone in time. Weather-worn goggles, a hammer, and a mysterious bottle of pills lie in the snow, relics of the challenges faced at extreme altitudes where life hangs in the balance. Here in this harsh, windswept landscape lie frozen memories of triumphs, failures, and unrecorded stories left abandoned. Each artifact tells a story of courage and loss on the roof of the world, echoing the mysterious steps taken by climbers who never returned. Number 8. The graves of fallen climbers. In the middle of Mount Everest is a cold graveyard, a silent sign of how harsh the mountain is. Over 200 people, tempted by the call to conquer it, now sleep forever in its icy embrace. These frozen tombs, like ghostly guards, remind us of the dangers that await those who attempt to reach the summit. Among these frozen ghosts, one person stands out for his eerie presence. Known as the Green Boots of Tsewang Paljor, remembered for the bright color of his shoes found with his remains in the heavy storms of 1996. Since that sad day, his body has remained frozen near the summit, a chilling reminder of how merciless Everest is to human dreams. For those brave enough to scale the perilous slopes of Everest, the Green Boots are both a landmark and a sign of the dangers to come. Her frozen body, visible when the snow clears, makes climbers confront their own mortality at every step. Many stop beside her not only to rest, but to honor the dead and gather courage for the hard journey ahead. The truly Green Boots have unintentionally become a guide for brave souls climbing Everest's icy peaks. Their presence shows a very important point, a place where determination meets fate and experienced climates. They say that passing by Green Boots means understanding how fragile life is and how strong the mountain is. Number 7. Strange bone fragments. Since 1921, more than 330 climbers have perished on the treacherous slopes of Everest, and around 200 are still trapped in its icy clutches. The nature of recovering these bodies often makes such efforts impractical, if not impossible, but in recent years, a disturbing new chapter has emerged in the tragic Everest saga. Kami Rita Sherpa, a renowned climber with numerous Everest ascents under his belt, stumbled upon a grim discovery at base camp. Human bones jutting out of the permafrost, smoothed by the relentless touch of ice. This discovery was not an isolated discovery in each climbing season, as Everest's glaciers retreat due to global warming. New remains are emerging from the mountains. severed, frost-capped skulls, limbs and skeletal fragments now clearly visible where once hidden relics of failed expeditions and untold tragedies once lay buried are increasingly coming into view. Climbers and local guides report seeing more exposed remains than ever before, a chilling testament to the relentless, unforgiving nature of the mountain. Global warming has accelerated the melting of Everest's glaciers, revealing not just bones and old boots, but entire corpses from past expeditions. Among the unearthed remains has emerged one especially disturbing case involving Reinhold Messner, a towering figure in mountaineering lore. Messner, celebrated for his historic ascent of Everest without supplemental oxygen, has lived under the shadow of a painful accusation since his spectacular climb more than 30 years ago. The claim that he abandoned his brother Gunther to die on the mountain has persisted as a dark stain on his otherwise illustrious career. In a recent exclusive interview, Messner revealed a disturbing twist to this legacy, revealing that a bone found among the glaciers of Everest was identified as belonging to his missing brother. The apocalypse highlights the harsh reality of the mountain's unyielding power and the enduring mysteries it holds beneath its ice-covered surface, as debate rages over whether to recover or leave the remains. Everest stands as a monument to human endurance and a stark reminder of the indomitable force of nature. Number 6. The Green Boots. Climbing Mount Everest is not easy. Those who do it know that if something happens to them up there, their group may have to leave them, and they may become one of the more than 300 bodies of mountaineers trying to conquer the summit and now form part of a garden of frozen sculptures that remind the rest that this is not a game or a walk in the countryside. Everest, the highest mountain in the world, which was recently revealed to be taller than previously thought, tests the limits of what is humanly possible. It is an extreme landscape that can change from one moment to the next and does not forgive the slightest mistake. There are many tragic stories about climbers who lost their lives on the mountain. One of them was portrayed in the film Everest with Jake Gyllenhaal and Josh Brolin. There is that of Hannelore Schmatz, who was only the 4th woman to climb, and her story is considered one of the most heartbreaking. Or that of David Sharp, who was seen before he died by other climbers who knew that by helping him they would be risking their lives. But probably one of the most famous is that of Green Boots, one of the dead on Mount Everest, who has even become a marker that many use to locate themselves on the route. Before he was known only as the Green Boots, the most famous body on the mountain was named Tsewang Paljor, who was an Indian mountaineer who earned the popular nickname because he climbed the mountain wearing a pair of neon green boots that made him impossible to miss in the snow, though that's not enough to save someone's life in such an extreme location. Paljor has been frozen in place on the northeast ridge of the mountain since 1996 and remains one of the macabre markers that, a quarter of a century later, are still used by those trying to achieve what he couldn't finish to tell their companions where they are and how far they have progressed. Before climbing the mountain, Paljor left school at age 10 to work for the Indo-Tibetan Border Patrol to support his family. And it wasn't until 1996, at age 28, that he was finally able to accompany his ITBP team on an Everest expedition that aimed to become the first Indian team to reach the North Summit. The trip was planned and the equipment was ready, but Everest is unpredictable, and on May 10, 1996, a storm hit the mountain and the climbers were trapped. All the preparation, training, and knowledge of the mountain was not enough to escape the weather conditions that were too powerful. Paljor and 7 of the climbers in his group died on the spot in an event that became known as the Everest disaster, one of the deadliest events to have happened on the mountain, and remained so until another worse disaster took place in 2014. Harbhajan Singh was the Onlo, survivor of Paljor's group, and it was he who recounted that they faced strong winds, snow, and freezing temperatures, which led him to ask his group to turn back. But they were determined to achieve their mission and pushed on despite the conditions being too dangerous. Many other climbers died that same day, May 10th, trying to help less experienced climbers find their way. But Paljor's boots made him especially recognizable, and he is now one of the mountain's most famous victims. His body, one of many made even more visible by climate change, which has revealed bodies and trash, was found in a cave in the so-called Dead Zone, which stretches 26,000 feet to the summit. Number 5. Mountain Ghost Stories. Mount Everest, the world's tallest and most iconic mountain, is not only known for its towering peaks and deadly climbs, but is also filled with spooky ghost stories among the many legends. One stands out as one told by Sherpa Pemba, an experienced mountaineer who claims to have encountered shadowy figures near the summit as he approached the final stretch of his climb. Pemba saw several dark, ghostly shapes approaching him, begging for food, and believed them to be the restless souls of climbers who had died on the mountain, unable to find peace until their bodies were given proper burial rites in 1975. British climbers Doug Scott and Dougal Haston found themselves trapped overnight on the unforgiving slopes of Everest with no food and little oxygen. They felt the comforting warmth of a third presence in their snow hole, sharing body heat and offering guidance throughout the night. It was a mysterious figure that helped them survive the bitter cold, but like the ghostly companion, it remained unseen. This haunting experience is not an isolated one. Frank Smith, an English climber, was attempting to summit Everest in 1993 when he too had a supernatural encounter alone at 28,100 feet SM. He saw two mysterious objects hovering in the sky. They were slowly pulsating and seemed out of place in the air. He was also overwhelmed by the feeling of a presence at his side as he climbed. It was a companion so real that he even reached into his pocket to offer food. But when he turned around, there was no one there. This phenomenon, known as the third man syndrome, is reported by many climbers who claim to feel an invisible presence helping them in times of danger. More recently, in 2011, a team discovered 4 bodies at Camp 4, high on the slopes of Everest. Curiously, no climbing agency had reported any missing climbers, and the identities of the bodies remain a mystery. Despite theories and investigations, the case was never solved, adding another chilling story to the history of the mountain. Number 4. Snow blindness and hallucinations. Climbing Mount Everest is an adventure like no other at 29,000 feet with sheer ice walls, endless crevasses, and temperatures that could freeze your skin in seconds. It's no place for a moment of weakness, but the harsh reality is that the combination of exhaustion, lack of oxygen, and the biting cold can undo even the strongest climbers. Snow blindness is one of the peak's cruel tricks caused by the relentless glare of sunlight on snow and ice. It's a temporary but excruciating loss of vision. Imagine having sunburned your cornea. It's so painful that even the dimmest light feels like needles stabbing your eyes. The only remedy is to rest, but when you're in the death zone above 26,000 feet, there's no time for sleep. Your vision fades, and with it, your chances of survival. If snow blindness wasn't scary enough, climbers on Everest face an even more terrifying danger: high-altitude cerebral edema. At such high altitudes, the brain struggles to get oxygen and begins to swell. This causes climbers to lose their grip on reality, slipping into a state of confusion and delirium, their minds clouded with strange hallucinations. Some talk to imaginary friends, while others believe they can fly as rational thought fades away. The sitting situation can become truly terrifying in their disoriented state. Some climbers can even take off their warm clothes in the face of the deadly cold with a misplaced sense of calm. On Everest, the real danger is not only the harsh environment, sometimes it is the mind itself that becomes the most dangerous enemy. Number 3. Hillary Pass. Hillary Pass was an iconic 12M rock outcrop of the Southeast Ridge, a near-vertical section named after Sir Edmund Hillary, who along with Tenzing Norgay became the first to summit Everest in 1953. Located at an oxygen-deprived altitude of 8,790 m. It was long considered one of the final and most daunting challenges for climbers attempting to reach the 848 m summit. The pass represented a pivotal moment in the climb where the goal was surprisingly close, but not without a dangerous final push. Hillary Pass was known for its sheer drops of up to 3,000 m on one side and 2,400 m on the other. A precarious rock face that could easily be deadly without ropes or proper guidance, making it a high-risk endeavor in what is ominously called the death zone. With temperatures plummeting and the weather changing unpredictably, even a slight misstep could prove fatal. The ropes usually fixed by the first team of the season made the ascent more manageable, but it was still a formidable test of endurance and nerve. The pass's notorious reputation grew as climbers described harrowing experiences. In 2015, the Hillary Pass was destroyed by a powerful earthquake. British climber Tim Mosdale confirmed the news after reaching the summit and posting photos of the now missing step. While its removal made the climb somewhat easier for future adventurers and introduced new challenges now created by the modified route, a potential bottleneck with climbers waiting in freezing and dangerous conditions for their turn to scale the remaining sections of the ridge. Despite its destruction, the legacy of the Hillary Pass lives on in the climbing world. Number 2. The discovery of George Mallory's body. It is commonly thought that Sir Edmund Hillary was the first to climb Mount Everest in 1953. But what if someone else reached the summit before him, and we are led to believe a different story? Truth be told, two Englishmen named George Mallory and Sandy Irvine reached the summit in 1924. They were last seen by a geologist named Noel Odell, who observed them through a telescope while they were just 100 feet from the summit, looking like little dots against the mountain. Odell thought Mallory and Irvine were fine and would be able to make it to the summit. Mallory had climbed Everest before in 1921 as part of a British expedition that mapped the area. He realized the importance of oxygen masks at high altitudes. Irvine was good at repairing oxygen equipment, but had no climbing experience. Mallory chose him as her partner for the expedition. They set off with a few helpers, leaving their guide behind to watch over them, but never returned. When searchers looked for them the next day, their campsites were empty, except for 2 sleeping bags arranged in a T-shape. Mallory's body was found in 1999, but his camera was borrowed by Howard Somerville, which could have proven they reached the summit. However, Mallory had promised his wife Ruth that he would leave her his summit photo. He had it with him before he climbed, but it was not found. The mystery of Mallory and Irvine's final moments on Everest continues to captivate, a reminder of the mountains that endure. Number 1. Silent avalanches. Silent avalanches on Mount Everest are among the most chilling natural phenomena faced by climbers. These avalanches are often preceded by an eerily quiet movement with deadly force that catches those in their path unawares. Unlike the dramatic roars we might expect from these masses of snow, they can begin to move almost silently, creating a deceptive sense of security as the ice and snow gain momentum. What begins as a barely perceptible rumble turns into an unstoppable cascade that destroys everything in its path. The terror of these silent avalanches was clearly evident on April 25, 2015, when a massive avalanche hit Everest Base Camp. Among the climbers was a 33-year-old female superintendent of police from Gujarat, India, who was quietly reading in her tent when she noticed an eerie silence moments before disaster unfolded, acclimatizing at base camp for nearly 2 weeks in preparation for her summit attempt in May. What followed was pure chaos as the avalanche triggered by a powerful earthquake came barreling down the slopes, sweeping away tents, burying supplies and taking lives. What makes these avalanches so deadly is the silence that often accompanies them. There's a small warning, a shift in the snowpack, a slight crunch, and then devastation. For those who experience this silence before disaster strikes, it's a sound they never forget, adding to the unpredictability of Everest, where the forces of nature can go from calm to terrifying in an instant. We've reached the end of this video. Tell us what you think in the comments box. If you liked the video, give it a like, subscribe, and don't forget to hit the bell so you don't miss future videos like this one. See you next time.